Live on Facebook.
Oh no, even worse. It's bad enough when it was just the TV. Now it's great. Look, I better play something.
Dreary day, getting out of work and making yourself down here for this really important historic evening that is about to take place. My name is Kristen Kaza from the Chicago Reader. So happy to have you here. I want to just thank our sponsors who made this evening possible. This is a part of a series called Mobilize that we'll be doing throughout the remainder cycle, so stay tuned for details on that. And if you are tweeting or Instagramming along, we are at Chicago_Reader. Chicago Reader. Hello. I want to thank Sidetrack. I'm doing some noise for Sidetrack for hosting us and all the things they do. And we also have Ray Gun, Personal Pack, Green Element Resale, and Persistless that made this possible. So we're going to get right to it because we have a lot going on. But I just want to give a quick shout out for something that we're doing with the Reader. It's our Best of Chicago campaign. It's happening right now. We are in the final. You go on vote. Sidetrack is nominated for Best Gay Bar, so and you can vote for your. We also have our first cannabis market and symposium. Yes, we can is next weekend, next Saturday in Logan Square at Emporium Arcade Bar. So lots of things going on. You can follow us on social media and all the great things. But without further ado, I want to bring up Xavier from HRC, from the Chicago HRC chapter. HRC and CNN, of course, are making this broadcast, this LGBT Presidential Town Hall policy. So without further ado, I want to bring up Xavier to the mic to talk a little bit about HRC.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you first and foremost for coming out to this truly historic event. HRC has partnered with CNN to produce the first ever televised network presidential LGBTQ focused forum, and also the first to ever be broadcast on a Spanish-speaking network of CNN on Espanol. So we really want to just really highlight the fact that this is the perfect opportunity for the presidential candidates to really showcase what their intentions are as it relates to the LGBTQ community, to present their plans for not only defending but really sort of pushing us forward and really sort of protecting us in the way that we need. There are an estimated 11 million LGBTQ voters, and so we absolutely need those folks to get out, vote, and really sort of spread the word, the message, and get people mobilized. There are an estimated 57 what we call equality voters, so that even stretches even further when you include our allies as well. So we really want to make sure that people are informed, that they get out to vote, and that we really do what we can, because we know that 2020 is an uphill battle. So I want to thank you all for coming out. You can go to hrcchicago.org for more information about what we're doing locally. Our gala is November 16th. I'm just going to put that out there. And so again, thank you, and I appreciate the Chicago Reader, Sidetrack, and the LGBTQ partners that are here for this opportunity. And enjoy the forum.
Okay, so we're going to get started. But first, if you are a part of the Reader staff, contingency, fan club, can you put your hands in the air and make some noise? That's some serious representation. So you can say hi to any of us, say hello. We'd love to get to know you. We love you. Ben and Maya, who are two of our incredible political reporters, and they are going to be doing their own live show at the Hideout starting in November 1st, Tuesdays with Ben. First Tuesdays, what did I say? November 5th. Okay, good. So we're going to get started with them, and they're going to bring up the candidates. So without further ado, can we make some noise for Ben and Maya kicking off this conversation?
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. So we have a about an hour before the forum kicks off, so we're just going to hop right to it. We have several guests we're going to bring up, talk for about 10 minutes with each of them, and then we have special allegedly from Marianne Williamson. We'll see if it happens, so stick around for that. So, okay, first, I guess let's bring up Mike Siri from Equality Illinois. All right, so Ben and I are going to share this mic and hold this one.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. So, to get started, can you... Not on. Hello? Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your work what the organization does, and if you want to get into it, what your own sort of personal story and identity, whatever.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks to the Reader and Sidetrack for hosting tonight. My name is Mike Siri. I'm the Director of Public Policy at Equality Illinois. Equality Illinois is the state civil rights organization for LGBTQ folks. And I've been with the organization for about almost 5 years now. Time flies. Previously, I lived in Springfield, born and raised, moved to Chicago 5 years ago. So I would say my perspective as an openly gay man from Central Illinois is the perspective of a more and growing up not having connections to other queer folks, not having community centers. There was no community center in Springfield, the Phoenix Center, until 2001. But growing up and looking at organizations like Equality Illinois and thinking, well, I would love to work there someday because I love politics and policy. And I think that's probably just a function of me growing up in Springfield in the shadow of the capital. Never really have the opportunity to put my values into play at an organization like this. But for some reason, me, founder, and as policy director, I do in Springfield, talking to all of our legislative friends, and working on legislation that affirms LGBTQ folks, that advances justice, and we've had success in this respect. But always, whenever I do my work, I always try to keep it with an eye to statewide perspective. So engaging our partners in Carbondale. I was just there this weekend for the Rainbow Cafe Gala. Engaging our partners in Springfield, in the Quad Cities, in Champaign, making sure that we truly have a connected, intersectional, statewide LGBTQ community. And
past term, so much of the conversation tonight at the town hall will be the challenges on the federal level, the national level, the pushback right now, the Supreme Court right now. You know about very well what's going on. But talk about on the local level, on the statewide level, and maybe how they could be a model for national legislation if things were to change in Washington.
Absolutely, and we do think Illinois should be a model for the country. I like to say that Illinois is the anchor of the Midwest in terms of LGBTQ equality, but also in terms of protecting reproductive health care, the rights of immigrants and refugees. So many ways we lead the country in equality and inclusion. And you're right, this legislative session in Springfield was tremendous. There were so many major pieces of legislation called the Inclusive Curriculum Law, which history taught in public schools, so that students, young LGBTQ students, will now see themselves reflected in the story of Illinois and the story of America, and also convey a message to non-LGBTQ students that a diverse group of people has continued to contribute to society and to Illinois. Another really important bill is, I would say, our single occupancy gender neutral restroom bill. So if there's a single occupancy restroom in a place of public accommodation, or January 1, it's going to be gender neutral, which is really, really exciting. And I want to give a shout out to our partners, Restroom Access, for their awesome work since 2015, working in Chicago, and then applying the lessons learned there to the state. Just a really exciting piece of legislation, and there was so much more. There was a bill which will take a little time to go into effect, but a bill for a third gender marker on driver's licenses. There was legislation to ensure that youth can have access to preventative medicine, or you're a youth who hasn't come out to your parents. So it's important to have that preventative care, and that was a great initiative. I like and love is a bill to advance justice today and made sacrifices and were on the front lines of the marches and the riots and the rallies. They have to go back to those facilities, and the world we live in is affirming so they don't have to do that after they've fought so long for those of us who are younger to be out. So we're really excited by this legislative session, and we want to apply those policies to the national level.
And so, as you're watching the forum tonight, what kind of stuff are you going to be looking for the campus to address? Are there particular issues that you feel are particularly salient in the communities that you work with? Are there particular pieces of legislation out there, or what are you going to be listening for tonight?
Absolutely. One piece of legislation, and I think you'll hear them all say it, is the Equality Act. Federal non-discrimination protections. And that's important because what we saw at the Supreme Court on Tuesday, but it's also important, and I get asked this, why is a federal law matter when Illinois has protections? Well, because I care about queer people everywhere. And LGBT Illinoisans may work outside of the state. And they should not, your rights and your equality should not be based on your zip code. So a firm commitment to passing and signing the Equality Act, a firm commitment to ensuring safer schools for trans and gender non-conforming students. The Obama administration put in place an affirming guidance document in 2016. The Trump administration pulled back on that. So we're looking to hear affirm people and focus on the violence against trans people, particularly black and brown trans people, what they will do, how they will stem the epidemic of violence. Also, affirming identity documents. And I talked about legislation here in Illinois, but also Social Security Administration, those kinds of things. And again, also, how will they ensure affirming care for older adults? Similar to legislation here, what will they do at the national level? And then one really important area, I think, also is our government should reflect America. It should look like America. So what will they do in terms of appointments to the cabinet, to the courts, and to administrative positions? Who will they appoint? Will they be people who reflect America, people of color, people who are intersex, people who are LGBTQ, people living with HIV, people with disabilities, and people of different faith backgrounds, to make sure that the federal government looks like America and has meaningful inclusion and representation of those individuals. So I think those are things we're looking for that we've seen here in the state over the past few years, and we think Illinois has been a pretty good model. So let's take that model to the national level.
One last question. Going back to the state, the legislation you passed on the state level, was there a significant backlash in any way with these bills that you passed? Was there strong opposition, or have things changed in Illinois that they were tolerated by members of both parties?
Sure. So 3 of our 4 initiatives passed with support. The adults bill, a jury research discrimination bill, and the gender rights bill. The inclusive curriculum bill took longer, but we worked with legislators, and I mentioned the Safe Schools Alliance, some of our partners in labor, the Legacy Project, hiccups. But we want to work with educators to get them the resources that they need, they want, and we look forward to implementing these initiatives. And Illinois, has come a long way. And I won't say passing legislation is easier, but there's more of an appetite and an openness and a willingness to ensure that Illinois lives up to its best values of equality, inclusion, and the freedom to be who you are without discrimination. Which is not to say my job is easy. I love a hard job in Springfield, but we have a lot of great champions in the legislature and in the governor's office who are keeping Illinois moving forward. Thank you.
All right, so next, can we get Imani Rupert Gordon up here with us? All right, so Imani is from Affinity, and so again, speak directly into the mic, and to start us off, can you just talk a little bit about, and if you'd like to get into it, how your own identity intersects with what you do.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Sidetrack and the Reader, for having us tonight. Happy to be here. So Affinity is an organization. We serve the entire LGBTQ plus population, and we do it through looking at the experiences of Black LGBTQ plus women. And it's our idea that if we are working with some of the most underrepresented parts of the community, that everyone can benefit from that. I'm happy to have been the executive director for the past 3.5 years now, and I've never known a place like Affinity. I think the work that we do at Affinity is something that very much impacts the way that I think about things, and it benefits me as a Black queer woman. I think one of the most important things that we did, often we talk about is we create a safe space, and it's a space that I had never seen before I'd been a part of Affinity, where I see other in one space. It's just not something that we often see in the LGBTQ community. Often when we're looking at leadership in communities, it's not as intersectional. That racism happens in the community, and Affinity was created so that people could bring their entire selves. And so I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Is there anything in particular you want to hear the candidates say tonight? Is there something specific that you are waiting to hear that you haven't heard yet?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of things that I would love to hear. There's a lot of things I'd love to hear, but I will say that it's exciting to me to see candidates having more intersectional dialogue around what we're looking at. So, for instance, Morning Group produced an LGBT needs assessment in 2019. It just came out, and it talked about some of the things that come up in the LGBTQ plus community, specifically in Chicago. And those are some of the things that come up in our community. And so I'm very interested in hearing from candidates that are speaking to these sort of types of things in general. And so I think healthcare and health insurance is something that's really important, getting to a place where folks can feel like they have access to affordable health care. And I also think it's important that we talk about reproductive justice as opposed to reproductive rights. And I think that some candidates are starting to talk about that, which I think is really, really exciting. But more than that, I think that we need to talk about these things. We also need language around them as well. Very often when we talk about reproductive justice, we're talking about a woman's right to choose. And that is very true for some people. But we also know that women are not the only people that need access to affordable abortions. And so hearing folks talk specifically about transgender folks, about non-binary folks, when they're running for president, it's very exciting to me. And I'd like to hear intersectional issues with a variety of things that folks are doing. We're looking at criminal justice, thinking about when people are disproportionately impacted by criminal justice, then what can we do to alleviate that? That we can't just have segments of our population being confused. That's something that we do. And hearing candidates talk about that in a way has been really exciting. And lastly, and then I'll move on. I also am excited to hear more about climate change, honestly. That hasn't always been part of our social justice rhetoric, and it should be, because we also know, I think, as more folks are becoming aware of the negative outcomes that we're also aware that those are going to impact low-income people first, people of color first, LGBTQ people first. And so that very much has to be part of social justice movement.
You talked about you want to hear about healthcare. I don't know how much that will be addressed tonight, but are you satisfied so far with the caliber of the conversation of the Democratic presidential primaries about healthcare? Do you think all the candidates are going strong enough on the issue? The Democratic presidential position now?
I mean, I would like to see us get to a place access to absolutely everything they need. And so when we say universal health care sort of broadly, and people aren't going so deep into what their policies look like, I think that can be problematic. Because when we say universal health care, that doesn't mean everything to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I think that if we have the technology to keep people, I want to see us have health care that's affirming, that's affordable, that's accessible, and that's available. That low-income people just have with less quality health care. And I think people, do what they're going to do. But I will say that that is what I think about it.
And as you kind of contemplate the future and the possibility that we're going to have a re-elected President Trump, how are you preparing, and how is your organization preparing for the possibility of dealing with 4 more years of the kind of kernel funding or other ways in which your work might be impacted? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So something that comes up too, and this is something I think we all need to pay attention to, is that when any time we have an administration that doesn't want to count underrepresented folks, that's going to have ramifications for longer than an administration that we're talking about, that we have a lot of work to do to make up for that. I think that we've been really great funders that understand our work is very, very important right now. And so we've had some funders really step up to prioritize the work that we do. So that's been really great. It's also been really wonderful working in people what we need to do. There are a lot of people doing this work in a lot of different ways. It's really happening in this country without people being in the streets making it happen. But people have been in the streets because they wanted to change the policies. And so even though we have different approaches to doing our work, that doesn't mean that we don't have the same goal. Other, but all the work that we're doing that sometimes looks like it's at odds, to remember that we're not at odds, we're actually doing different types of work to get to the same outcome.
All right, very good. Before we let you go, why don't you tell folks what you told us? You got a fundraiser coming up, and I know you want to promote it.
Well, hey, y'all. 3rd annual Black Gold fundraiser this weekend. It's on Saturday at 7 o'clock at Gallery Duchard. You can find tickets on our website. You can play for the coveted Black Gold Trophy. For the first time, we'll have a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Richard May is our DJ, and amazing. We're super excited to have her. Trina True Love is our host, has been there for the past 3 years. And we're excited to see folks. It's in Bronzeville, so we try to do all of our programming on the south side, because there's LGBTQ folks there. We'd love to come see you. Come out and support us. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, let's bring up Terry Cosgrove. Take your time.
I can hold it. Hey, Ben, how you doing? You got your big boy pants on tonight. Down at Sidetrack. Do your thing. Drinking? Yeah, I see. So I decided tonight I was either going to push it up or put the Dizzy back in Queen. I'm pro-choice, so I'll let everyone decide. Which one it is.
Just to begin with, can you tell folks a little bit about the work that you do, and if you'd like to, how your own identity intersects with that, just give people a sense of what you're all about.
Yeah, I welcome the of Personal PAC, which is a pro-choice political action committee, and for the last 30 years we've been electing pro-choice candidates, and as Tracy knows, for decades now I've been making the argument that there is that the work is parallel for LGBT rights and reproductive rights. And the main reason is that our enemies are the same. It's amazing. Mike knows in Springfield, you'll have the same people testifying against a reproductive rights bill, and then the next bill up will be an LGBTQ bill, and the same people will remain at the witness table from Illinois Family Institute testifying against LGBTQ rights. So electing pro-choice candidates. I mean, listen, I'm listening to all of this. I mean, if we don't start winning elections, we are really all very screwed. I mean, the talk of re-electing Trump, I mean, it's game over if we do that. And we need a Congress that is committed to these rights. We need an Illinois General Assembly that is solidly behind LGBTQ rights and reproductive power. And we need to get young people out voting, registering to vote. African American women have been for progressive candidates. And it's about time that people of non-color step up and do our part to make sure white men, white women need to do our part to make sure that we steer this country in the right direction, because we should not be left to others to do that.
Jerry, one of the things that you and I talk obsessively about whenever we talk, which is that bears no resemblance whatsoever to the Republican Party, even the moderate wing of the Republican Party that existed when you and I were kids 5 billion years ago.
Yeah, at least.
And so talk about that, the position that puts you in, because your group wants to support. You don't want to be a Democratic group, you don't want to be a Republican group, but the reality is that you can only find support on one side of the aisle.
Right, and then thanks, Ben. That's a great question. In fact, in the 1990s, we had 14 pro-choice, pretty much, and not only were they just voting the right way on our issues, they were actually sponsoring bills. Mark Obian, a Republican from Barrington, was the sponsor of marriage equality, of domestic partnership, was the sponsor of all of our pro-choice bills. There, of course, Tom Cross when he was there. And what has happened slowly but surely is the Republican Party in Illinois and across the country has been taken over by these right-wing cities that are obsessed with doing what they're doing. I don't know about Equality Illinois, I assume they're in the same position, but I've actually tried to go out and recruit moderate Republicans to run again, because our issues are really solid when it has bipartisan support. And that goes to Americans with Disability Act, the Social Security. Every issue is settled when it has broad bipartisanship. So we're really by depending just on the Democratic Party. That's all we have right now, but going forward, we need to have a future. And I speak to our Republicans that are considering doing it. It's not just beaten up by the right wing, having their houses egged, their children harassed to school. It's a goal to be a moderate Republican, which is why I think so many have left the party and now call themselves independents or Democrats.
And so as you're watching the event tonight, what are you going to be watching for as the candidates, address the community and impact this community, as a perspective as someone very focused on just winning?
And what is their long-term view of getting there? So I'll be very interested in hearing the specifics of their how they want to implement things. And I will openly, I'll leave that to more expert people in that area. But I think we need to hear concrete solutions and a way to get there, and what are the realistic chances of doing it. The reality is, if we don't elect a majority of the United States Senate that's Democratic, nothing's going to move, regardless of who the next president is.
Well, one thing you are aware of, and this gets to what Mike was talking about, is that in Illinois we live in a bit of a bubble, a blue bubble, and the lull that is sleeping and thinking about things are good here. We've seen Donald Trump argue that there's a federal right to overturn California's environmental regulations. He could easily do that if he wanted to on matters of like reproductive rights or gay rights or anything like that. So I think it's important to emphasize that we are still in the United States of America governed by Donald Trump.
Well, not that there's any shortage of hypocrisy on the right wing, but for years we've heard states' rights and local control and everything, and then as soon as the clawing part on every issue they have, and then when we find out local school districts are allowing transgender people to use bathrooms, all of a sudden it's not a local issue, and they want to pass all these laws. The same thing goes with all the other issues you're talking about. there was a New York Times article abortion rights in 2040, and it talked about looking forward once Roe v. Wade is overturned, and it talked about women being arrested and thrown in jail in state to go to New York, which in this article was the last remaining state where abortion would be legal, and women being arrested and thrown in jail for accessing reproductive health care in other states. Laws passed right-wing Republicans saying that local control doesn't mean anything. Yeah, absolutely.
And are you confident that Donald Trump will be defeated in this next go-around? Do you think he's going to be impeached? Look at your crystal ball, Terry Cosgrove.
I have no such crystal ball. I think that things are moving in that direction. You and I have been on it. And I'm not the first person to say this, so I don't want to take credit. But I think the important thing towards impeaching him is the American public needs to be brought along, and that's why I think Nancy Pelosi has been very smart in not jumping the shark here, and sure enough, more every day there's new evidence of him violating the oath of office and the Constitution, and recent polling is showing that more and more Americans are now on board, and the polling is only 2 weeks before Richard Nixon was actually resigned. So I just think we need to let this play out, let the facts come out, let the process work, and not get too far ahead of it, because in the end, we want the American people to believe that the right thing was done. The Democrats did the right thing by pursuing impeachment. You and I have talked about this. I think once the wall starts to crack, and there's a few people like Susan Collins from Maine and Colorado and Arizona, once these people get through Republican primaries, so as these Republicans get through a primary and they're more concerned about a general election than they are a primary, then kicking Donald Trump under the bus is going to be easy. So I think we'll see that start. If the impeachment process hasn't taken place by the end of this year, when, after the Iowa primary, the New Hampshire primary, Illinois is March 17th. I mean, not that we have any concerns about Durham and Beckworth and where they are, but in all of these states, it will give, I think, Republicans will see the right evidence.
Girl, I guess, Progressive Voters Guide. Some of you guys may be familiar. All right. Hello. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so to start off, can you just talk a little bit about your work with Girl, I Guess, and if you'd like, about how your own identity intersects with that work, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so my work with Girl, I Guess, I write the Progressive Voter Guide with my friend Ellen. We really got together around that as queer, Jewish, political nerds, and I am an anarchist with a political science degree, so I figured I might get a little my education to use since I paid money for it, and so here I am, co-writing Voter Guide, and as a very radical politics committed, lesbian identified, trans identified person. My identity in my life isn't very political. I can't really shy away from the things that I'm doing being political. And people often reject electoral politics out of hand, but I really view it as harm reduction. It's a rare opportunity in organizing. Even though politicians will never elect ourselves to liberty, will never vote us, to be able to choose your opponent. And I think that as organizers and as political strategists, we would be foolish to pass up the opportunity to choose our opponent and try to, pick who we want to organize against. Because, how you can't set yourself up better than that.
Is there you said choose your opponent. Let's talk about choose someone that you would want to vote for tonight that really, even if it's just you have to name three so you cover the person that you really want. Right? Even three people or is a bunch of other right Democrats that really say that.
Yeah, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do three, because I can't say who I'm voting for publicly yet. It would spoil the guide. No spoilers until January. It'll be out in January, and then you'll figure out my opinion. But I think really, I'm quite sad that Bernie Sanders had accepted the invitation and then had some health problems and so isn't going to be there. But I think we really need to be watching the frontrunners in the election. As much as I have a distaste for Joe Biden and his I think that he's one of the front runners. He's polling very well, and I think that his opinions are going to be be relevant simply because of his position in the polls. He's going to be able to put together a competent performance. He's going to say things like LBGYN again. Are we about his 30 minutes at this town hall, or is it just, and not the kind of flaming disasters that we're used to, but like the bad kind of flaming disasters? I'm really looking for Elizabeth Warren to follow up her at town hall. She knocked it out of the park at the GLAAD event on YouTube. I was not expecting that from her. I think she's been running a good campaign. Lawrence was stellar, and so I think because of that, she's set a high bar for herself, and she really needs to follow through now that she has more time to explain her positions. She just came out with her LGBT policy platform today, and so I think this is going to be a good opportunity for her to really double down on some of those points and really get her message out there on queer and trans rights. And then I think that for tonight, he might not be doing all that great, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how Cory Booker does. I'm looking at Cory Booker not as somebody that I would, but as some long-term role in the Senate, like a power position in the Senate or a cabinet position. And so I'm really excited to see, and he also seems to have a very good command of the issues. He seems to be able to speak to the community well. He seems to really have a grasp on what queer and trans people are looking for in our policy and in our electeds. So I'm looking at Cory Booker as sort of my outside candidate who can maybe have some influence on the discussions.
I also wanted to ask you about was, you obviously with the voter guide and sort of your public appearances and stuff, you were very kind of visible and vocal around the mayoral election here in Chicago.
Yes, I was.
And I feel like there's this sort of tendency to feel like, okay, we're very committed to her base being a huge portion of the city, but especially I feel like in communities who aren't very radical, believing that she's doing the right thing all the time, or most of the time. And people feel kind of personally threatened if the candidate they were really excited about ends up disappointing in one way or another. And to me it always feels like it's very stifling to a certain kind of progress and a kind of a healthy political culture to be so kind of to have such high hopes for candidates and then not really be prepared to be disappointed. Right. So yes, there's Mayor Pete, but he didn't even mention him. So I guess that says something about his how convincing he is. But what is your being from a more kind of coming from a more radical perspective on this stuff and from an organized background? How can people be fully invested in this, but also have a kind of a healthy rapport, kind of a critique of what they do is vital to the success of our kind of society here.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly what you just said. I think what people really need to be able to grasp and fully internalize is you have to be able to criticize every single candidate, and you have to be able to criticize every single candidate thoroughly, and you have to be able to ask the tough questions. But I joke because I'm about to say Pete Buttigieg, and often have a Pete Buttigieg as well. But again, you're not going to ever vote your way to election. An election is not a gateway to a radical revolution. It's just not going to happen. Not in the United States political system. So you have to be able to look at each candidate and say, even if this person shares my identities, even if this person has a lot in common with me and has a similar background as me, are they for me, really? Or are they pretending to be for me because they want my vote? Do they actually speak the language and understand the background that I come from? Or are they parlaying that into political capital?
How do you know if they're for you? What do you watch for to make that determination for yourself?
Personally, I do a hilarious amount of research. I think it's one of these tricky things because these are professional politicians. A lot of these people are very good at hoodwinking folks into thinking, and I've made some exceptions here and there. There are some politicians that I'm friends with that I think are wonderful people, and I got to know them before they were elected, and that's why I trust them. But, you know, I don't believe that anybody running for president can truly have my best interests at heart as like a lesbian, Jewish, trans person. You know, my liberation is not in the interests of the United States like empire. And so I am not, none of the people running for president are going to get me free. None of the people running for president are going to get the people that I love and care about free. So you have to approach every candidate, see what the hell this guy is. Be able to look at the policies that the candidates put forward and say, okay, this will help me organize for X. This will help me organize for Y. I have to be conscious about organizing against this third thing. This stance by this candidate was totally unacceptable, and so we have to hold them accountable for that. Like every single candidate running who is on their record. LGBTQ people, like we cannot leave behind the humanity and the rights of sex workers. They're a huge part of our community. Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Vedder were sex workers. Like this is the foundation of our community. Sex workers are the foundation of our liberation movement. And every single senator running for president has a vote on their record to actively criminalize and dehumanize sex workers. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, all of them have this vote on their records. And so we have to recognize that being in government, you're complicit with things. And until any of those candidates, you know, Kamala Harris said she's in favor of decriminalizing sex work, she hasn't come out and said she regrets voting for Fosta Sesta. And because of that, I don't trust her. I don't believe that she wants to decriminalize sex work the way that sex workers are talking about. I think she wants to come up with her own version of decriminalization because she hasn't done what people who are organizing for decriminalization are asking her to do. So you really have to listen to the voices who are doing real work on the ground. You have to listen to the communities that are most impacted by, you know, the crap that's in our society. And you have to compare what they're saying their needs are with the things politicians are saying. And if they don't match up exactly, then those politicians aren't taking their cues from where they should be.
And so, thank you so much for joining us. The new edition of the Girl Ideas Voting Guide is going to be happening, you said, in January?
Yeah, mid to late January it'll be out. Plenty of time before the Illinois primary in March. We'll have as comprehensive of a presidential section as we can bear to write.
It's a Google Doc that circulates online and in social media, and just when you Google Girl Ideas Voting Guide, that's how you find it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next guest is going to be Julio Rodriguez from Alma. So, like everybody else, Julio, tell us a little bit about Alma and your work, and if you'd like, about how your own identity intersects with what the work you do and the community you serve.
Good evening, everybody. So, ALMA actually stands for the Association of Latinx Motivating Action. We actually are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. We are actually one of the oldest and still only, unfortunately, LGBTQ Latinx organization both in Chicago and really in the Midwest. And we're a volunteer-led organization. I think that's particularly important because so much of this work, at least in our community, is really left to many volunteers because we don't have the kind of infrastructure we need. But before I get into my story, I really think it's important that we honor people who really sort of set us on journeys around liberation. And this week we lost somebody who was very dear to me because he was a role model, and that was Richard Pfeiffer, who organized the Gay Pride Parade. And really, his commitment to that work, which I think sometimes we take for granted now, really was afraid to march in that parade. The first time I marched in it was really coming down this street on Halsted that I grew up in. It was a Puerto Rican neighborhood. And for the first time in my life, I saw my real self, my authentic self, come together, overcoming fear and really owning pride. So for me, he represents a quiet hero that sometimes we forget. And he did that work as a volunteer. So I'm very proud of those of us who volunteered to do this work. So,
we'll talk a little bit about this neighborhood back in the day. We had a little conversation before the show started. This is the neighborhood you grew up in?
yeah,
Proud graduate of High School.
yes.
And Greeley Elementary the 60s, 70s around?
There were a lot of trucks. This was a very commercial street when I was growing up. And quite frankly, Halsted was a very scary street. In fact, I remember, because I lived on it, and people would say to me, how can you live on a street like that? And I remember thinking to myself, well, this is the street I live on, and what's wrong with it? And then I remember that I was growing up, seeing as I was growing up, it was a very working class community. And it was someplace that people really felt didn't have an opportunity to really make change. And you just walk the door down and you see a community that my father, who still lives here, can't believe it. You know, the gay and lesbian community center I took him in that building with you about a year or two ago, and he was a CTA mechanic, and that was the garage that he would fix buses at. And when he walked into that building, he said, wow. But what unfortunately is, as that part of me pulled it together, the Puerto Rican community in this city has not been able to pull it together. We still are disproportionately impacted by health disparities, poverty. Our homeland, the island of Puerto Rico, is still a colony. I know we call it a commonwealth, but let's face it, it's a colony. We still don't get to vote for the president. So this election, in many ways, for the people of Puerto Rico, means nothing to them. So, again, I think what we really need to think about is, and for my community in particular, what this election means is what are we really going to do to bring hope to the Latinx community? Because I will tell you, right now, our biggest challenges is fear and isolation. So whether it's the census, whether it's voting, there are so many people in the Latin community that are frightened because they have seen how many marches, the promise of immigration reform, the promise of a change, of a real change that Obama promised. And what they saw was within 4 years, a movement back and an oppressive government that they risked their lives to come to.
And so as you watch the speak tonight, what sort of issues are you going to be watching for them to discuss, especially coming from your perspective of representing Latin LGBTQ community members, immigrants, if they're, or just being non-white, Spanish speaking. So what are you looking to hear from these candidates? Yeah.
So it would be nice if they could speak in our language, other than one, or to do it so they're patronizing us. I think the other thing is stop talking about us as if all of our issues are just immigration. When you look at poverty, when you look at gentrification, when you look at things like what happened in Puerto Rico after the hurricane, that kind of looking for specificity around not one aspect of our community, but all of our community. I want them to talk about how trans women who are Latina, who are in detention centers, are dying because they don't have access to their medicine. I want them to read the community about why should they come out and vote when they've done it in the past only to be negated. So I think I want to hear, quite frankly, how are you going to put hope to a trans woman who's sitting in a jail cell with men fighting for her life? What are you going to do for those women who are lesbian, who are dying of cancer and not AIDS, because we are not a one-health issue community? So I think for me, what I'm looking for is speak to all of my community, both the LGBT specific community but all the countries that we represent, whether it's Mexico, Ecuador, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Honduras, all of us are struggling. They're going to do what they're going to do specifically to reverse the damage that has been done by this particular president and this particular Senate to all the laws that we fought so hard to help immigrants.
One of the most damaging things that this president has done, in my humble opinion, is to vilify people who come to this country from south of the border. He's done that from the moment he announced he was running for president back in 2015, really when he came down the escalator. And he's been doing it ever since. And sometimes when I'm dealing with people who are not Hispanic, maybe a part of it that picks up on it. You follow what I'm saying? Well, you got to admit, Ben, that there's going to be a big problem at the border. Do you sense that Trump's been successful in some ways of dividing the factions that unite the Democratic Party?
Yes, actually, but I think he's done a particularly great job is making immigration a Latino-only issue. Go to the southwest side and find the Irish. Talk to the Poles. Let's put a real face to immigration because it isn't just a brown face. And I think that's where we got to start doing. We got to have those communities speaking up. And I really challenge those of us who have family or have come from those communities to really speak up. Because right now, the way that this president characterizes people who are immigrants is only one group of people, and we all have to speak together in one voice. The other thing that I think is really important is in targeting our community. He saw our numbers, he saw our activism around, he saw how in ways that, quite frankly, he said, you Republicans and you folks that are in the Tea Party, here's the group we need to really knock out of the box right off the bat. And he did a really effective campaign to really stop our voices doing to penetrate our community. How many bilingual workers are you actually hiring? Who are you putting on the streets? You know, I was in Wisconsin getting the vote and seeing people saying, oh, no, we can't come out and vote. And seeing an 18-year-old, my parents don't want me to, and I said, if you want your parents' spirit, then you need to vote. And we need to break down those doors and give people hope. And also tell them there's a accountability we all have to get out the vote.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's give Julio a round of applause. Now we'll transition to our special cameo. Yes, she's here, Ben. So as some or many of you might have heard, we have presidential candidate Marianne Williamson here with us tonight. This could be a room of people who are very excited about you, or they've never been presidential candidate in a room before. So come on up here and join us, and we'll speak for a few minutes as well.
Thank you so much.
All right. So yes, you can sit and speak directly to the rainbow button. Speak directly to the center. I know. Thank you. So thank you for joining us. And actually, I had another first question I was going to ask, but since Julio brought this up, you know, how many bilingual workers do you have on your campaign, and what are you doing to connect with the Latinx community and the LGBTQ community as your campaign?
I'm trying to think about how many bilingual people I have on my campaign. I do think I have bilingual, definitely believe I have bilingual people on my campaign. In terms of LGBTQ+, I have a very long relationship with the LGBTQ community, plus community in my life. I was a very early AIDS activist. Very involved from the very beginning. I spoke in Chicago at the time. founded organizations called the Centers for Living, providing free accommodation to people living with AIDS, both in Los Angeles and in New York. And one program of the Center for Living was a program called Project Angel Food in Los Angeles, which still exists because it was a homebound, it was and is a Meals on Wheels program for homebound people with AIDS, and today it has over 12 million meals. And I am very marked forever.
Up there with the others. So, I mean, we can't give you a half hour, but, you know, here's this opportunity. What would you have them know if you were up there with the rest of the candidates?
This was important, not just for political reasons. It was also important as a step forward morally, spiritually, and philosophically. It was the gauntlet laid down for human possibility in a way that had never been done before. The very idea that all people are created equal, the very idea that God gave all people inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The country had never been founded on this principle before. The men who signed the document giving us that were risking their lives to do so because if the British had won, but at the same time, 56 of the men, 41 were slave owners. So the American story has always been this characterological dichotomy. The most enlightened principles that have ever been the founding of a nation. But at the same time, from our very beginnings, we have often been the most violent perpetrators of transgression against those principles. That's our story. It has been with the beginning in our generation as it has ever been, and every generation decides what its chapter in the ongoing story will be. Now, the phrase "a more perfect union" is the task to which we are all called. Gay people have never had it easy in America. On the other hand, compared to other countries, as we know, I remember watching a television show recently about the Rainbow Railroad and being so moved by what people in both the United States and Canada are doing to rescue some people who, even as we speak, we know that there are people in some countries who are hanged for being gay, thrown off the tops of buildings, and so forth. In terms of what's happening now, I think that in a way that does not just apply to the United States, and does not just, it does not just apply to the United States, it applies to the world. We are at the beginning of a new century, and what's happening now, this is a turbulence that's no different than the place at the bottom of Cape Horn, South America, where the Pacific meets the Atlantic. The forces of exclusion against the forces of inclusion in a way that has never been true in the human race before. And our job is to go beyond tolerance. Tolerance still implies judgment. So what gay people have gotten historically in America is what a lot of minorities get. It's okay that you're here as long as you keep your head down. It's okay that you're here as long as you don't say much. You're here as long as you don't show who you really are. And that's the concept going on today. Because the full actualization of humanity is not just that we can all be here, but that we can all fully be. So the United States already has the part about how legally you can. Now you can't get more basic and fundamental than someone's sexual identity. It serves us to remember, some of us look at America, that represents psychic annihilation for them. To them, that's like the obliteration of who they are. This is big stuff. And it has to be, and this is a pillar of my campaign, because I believe that this is true not just about LGBTQ, this is true about what's happening now. This can't be, it will not be won as a fight. We have to go higher. We have to go higher. We have to go higher. We have to moral high ground. It's a really human high ground. And it is, and I think when I think in terms of LGBTQ, when I think in terms of the trans people I've known, when I think of the people I've known really represent that's ancient, by the way. This is ancient shamanic stuff. You know, that's my field where, you know, I know all the ancient cultures where these were considered, you know, the shamans and the magical beings. We must remember that we, and I feel this as a woman, I feel this as a Jew, I refuse to not be who I am. But at the same time, I refuse to not have compassion for you, even those of you who would deny me who I am.
There's a question that someone has texted me. But I really want to ask this question and get your thoughts on this. This has to do with an issue left over from the 80s and the 90s. And I'll just read you.
For yourself, that's just not me. It's not my books. It's not my work at the time. I said with love we will get through. And we fed each other, we held each other, each other. I'm sorry.
Weren't you prepared to deal with this?
This particular one?
I mean, this isn't the first time you've been asked this kind of question. When you got into this race, weren't you prepared to deal with these kinds of questions and
well,
these
I
kinds of
never thought that
characterizations of your work?
Yeah, I was certainly prepared for being, would be people saying, I met her and I didn't like her. You know, I think she's a total bitch. She didn't call me back. I mean, I did that. But that, no, it never occurred to me. Because until recently, and this was in, my career started in 1983. The whole AIDS explosion came about mid-80s. So for a lot of years, one thing that was unquestioned, even among generations that are younger, they honestly don't know. They weren't there. So, no, that one.
Well, so we are getting tickets for that event. Marianne Williamson and us at Cards Against Humanity Theater. It's a free event, but it's first come, first served with tickets, so check it out. There's a Facebook event for it, and maybe we'll see you sometime.
Can we just give a hand to Ben and Maya for they're so great. If you missed some of it, it was streaming on